Hey all, and welcome! My name is Sierra Cassidy, and I am a Canadian smut author here to educate and entertain smut writers and readers. Today, we're finishing up our two-part series on the Amazon Dungeon. We're going to be talking about how you can find out for certain if your book is dungeoned, what you can do if your book is dungeoned, and how to help authors that have had their books dungeoned. How can you find out if your book has been dungeoned? If you think that your book might be in the dungeon, you can go to Bookspry, which I will link below. Make yourself an account and put in the ASIN. They'll run it through the system and let you know if your book has been dungeoned. Alternatively, you can ask people to search by your book title or your author name. If the book doesn't come up in a general search on Amazon, then it's probably dungeoned. Check to make sure that the book is still available under your author profile, because if it's not there either, you probably have a whole different problem on your hands. What can you do if your book is dungeoned? There are a few things that you can try, but I unfortunately must remind you that even if you do all of these things, there are no guarantees. Some authors have been successful in getting their books out of the dungeon, and others are trapped there despite their best efforts. I would also not recommend doing all of these changes at once, because otherwise you have no idea what the change was that freed you. It can take up to 72 hours for things to happen in the Amazon system, so start with one at a time and wait it out before trying the next step. In terms of words to look out for, I can only give you an idea based on anecdotal evidence because, as I previously mentioned, there is no definitive list for us to work through. What impacts one book may not impact another, but if you're in the dungeon and any of the following show up anywhere in your metadata or book information, consider changing them to see if it gets you out. Daddy, Alpha, Omega, breeding, letters that denote the relationship in the book that indicate there are more than two people involved, polyamorous or polyamory, BDSM, erotic, OMEGAVERSE, harem, why choose, general profanity, references to incest or pseudo-incest like stepbrother, anything that could be broadly interpreted as containing bestiality, including mythical creatures, or shifters getting spicy in their animal form. Obviously, this is a non-exhaustive list, so please use your best judgment and assume that there are pearl-clutching Puritans reviewing your work. Let's start with the least intrusive options and move on to the most intrusive. Number 1. Change your categories. Do you know what categories your book is in? If you don't, I'll attach a link in the description where you can put your ASIN to find out. Once you're aware of your categories, you can decide how to approach them. If your book is in an incorrect category, you can contact Amazon to change your categories. To do that, I have a very handy step-by-step guide helpfully provided by Vera Valentine, so you have the tools to do this. Step 1. You're going to get onto your KDP account and click the help icon in the top right. Step 2. You're going to scroll down and click on the Contact Us button on the bottom left. Step 3. You're going to select Update Amazon Categories from the menu on the left-hand side. Step 4. You're going to fill out the information they require. The format is to provide the ASIN or ISBN, marketplace, book format, and category. You can get the ASIN from the book listing on Amazon if you don't already know it, and that website that I linked will give you the categories in the correct format to provide to Amazon. If your categories are correct, you can move on to the next option. Number 2, change your keywords. If there's anything you even remotely suspect could have upset the Amazon gods, change it. Even if it makes it harder for people to find what they're looking for in a search, it's not as hard for people to find as if the book stays in the dungeon. Number 3, change your blurb. Have other authors read it over and see if you can pinpoint any issues. Revise how you say things so that you're still getting the idea across, but you're also removing anything that Amazon might consider objectionable. Number 4, change your cover. If you think your cover is at fault for your dungeoning, you can recover the book. This could involve a little bit of censoring anything provocative or getting a completely new cover. Number 5, change your content. No one wants to do this, but if you're desperate, you can try. If you think content warnings might be the reason, you can move them from the book to your website and see if that makes a difference. See where the 10% cutoff for the look inside would be. Go over the content in that section with a fine-tooth comb and modify if you want to. Like I've said before, doing these changes is no guarantee. Your book could still stay in the dungeon regardless of the changes that you make. If you don't want to make these changes, you absolutely don't have to. The dungeon is bad, but it's not a death sentence. You can still do your own advertising on social media, and if you have other published works, people might be looking you up and will still be able to find the dungeoned book. It's hard, but nothing about this career is a cakewalk. How can you help an author whose book has been dungeoned? Share their book. If you know it's dungeoned and you see an author working hard to still get it in front of eyeballs, help them out with that. Shares, retweets, TikToks, reviews. If you love that book, help other people find it because Amazon certainly isn't going to make it easy on them. We can't fight the giant, but we do have the capability to mitigate some of what it takes from authors. When you do share, do so with a link wherever you're able. And if you can't share with a link, then make it clear how the book can be accessed so people aren't searching and finding nothing. Sharing and reviewing are important for the success of all books, but especially so with dungeoned ones because the options and opportunities are so much more limited. If you're friends with spicy authors, you can also keep an eye out. Since dungeoning is a silent event, your author friends may not notice right away. If you search their name on Amazon and one of their books doesn't pop up, check and see if it's in the dungeon and let them know so that they can take steps to mitigate it. I hope this information was helpful. That's all for now. You can find all of my books and platforms in the description below, including Into the Depths, which is Suffering in the Dungeon. If you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, please do let me know. And if you would like early access to these videos, you can join my Patreon where I yeet them at people as soon as they're ready to roll. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you soon for another episode. Bye!